Welcome back to the Bryk Breakdown. I am Matt Bryk, your host. It is really raining outside right now, so I apologize if it's not the best quality of audio. But we have a lot to go through today on the show, so let's get right into the current news in the NFL. J.K. Dobbins didn't practice at mandatory minicamp Thursday because he wants a contract extension. He's currently on the last year of his rookie deal. He's only supposed to make like about $1.5 million, something like that, this year. And the only thing is he has had injuries, so I can understand the Ravens' perspective on that. But at the same time, he's definitely one of the best out there, so I guess we'll see where that goes. DeAndre Hopkins officially visited the Patriots. The Tennessee Titans reportedly offered him a contract, so it seems as if only the Titans and Patriots are the two teams on the table for Hopkins as of right now. Rodrigo Blankenship officially signed with the Bucs and is now competing with Chase McLaughlin for the starting kicker position. Kirk Cousins confirmed that he doesn't expect to have further contract extension talks this offseason, expects to play on the last year of his contract. There have been rumors that Kirk Cousins could be traded, especially traded to the 49ers. So I guess we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I mean, Cousins, he's accurate. He just doesn't really get the team over that hump. So I can understand if they trade him. I can also understand why they just keep him for the year and then let him be a free agent. Stephon Diggs was excused from practice Tuesday, and it reached a point to where Sean Payton said, quote, where they needed a break. I don't know what that means, but it doesn't sound great. I remember when Antonio Brown was with the Raiders and he was just a mess, and they clearly needed a break. So I don't know if it was to that extent with Stephon Diggs, but hearing that, they may have gotten into a little bit of a argument or a screaming match, whatever. Doesn't sound great, but as of right now, Stephon Diggs is back with practice and minicamp and all that, so I guess we'll see where things unfold forward. Saquon Barkley, talk about the current running back market. Saquon was franchise tagged, and he said, quote, they tagged the top 3 guys. We didn't even get a chance to hit the open market. They put the cap at $10 million, and when they have the tag, they have all the leverage. That's the reality. Now, Barkley is referring to Josh Jacobs and Tony Pollard, the other 2 running backs that got franchise tagged. Speaking of Josh Jacobs, he also made some comments on the running back market. And what I want to do is I want to pull up his tweet that he tweeted. Just hold on one sec, if I can. Here it is. Okay, so here's the tweet loading up here on my screen. Josh Jacobs tweeted, sometimes it's not about you. We got to do it for the ones after us. Shrug emoji. He's clearly talking about the current running back market. I can understand where him and Saquon are coming from. They want to get paid. They do all the heavy work. But today we're going to be talking about the running back market, which will get us right into that. We'll also be talking about some fantasy football aspects of running backs, and we'll also have a top 10 list. So, all right, let's get right into it with the running back market. I did a lot of research on this current running back market, and is it fair for them to be saying, we deserve to be paid? So let's get right into it. I'm going to show the current running back deals with the NFL right now on my screen. Whoops, that's wide receivers. Hold on real quick. No, why not? We'll talk about the wide receivers first because we're going to go through all of them. Okay, so if we look at this screen here, the wide receivers contract value right here. Number one is Devontae Adams with $140 million, Tyreek Hill $120 million, AJ Brown the third, not the third, but like the third on the list, $100 million, Amari Cooper $100 million, Stephon Diggs $96 million. The average of these five is $111.2 mil. Okay, so now keep those numbers in mind. Let's look at their what was it? Oh, the total guarantees. These right here. Cooper Kupp at number one, 75 mil. Tyreek Hill, 72.2 mil. Stephon Diggs, 70 mil. Devonta Adams, 65 mil. Amari Cooper, 60 mil. So that's a lot of money, right? And they're getting paid a lot of money. I mean, $140 million is something you can't really, joke around about. I keep clicking the wrong one. Hold on. Trying to get the running backs on my screen here. Okay. Is it this one? It is this one. All right. So let's look at the running back contract values right here. Alvin Kamara, $75 million, number one contract value. Two, $64 million, Christian McCaffrey. Derrick Henry, number three, $50 million. Number four, Joe Mixon, 48. Number five, Aaron Jones, $48 million. Okay. Now let's look at their total guarantees. Christian McCaffrey, $38 million. Alvin Kamara, $33 million. Derrick Henry, $25 million. Bijan Robinson, who is a rookie running back, $21.9 million. Nick Chubb, $20 million. So far, it's crazy. So what I did was I compared the top. So Alvin Kamara in his contract value with $75 million. You compare that to Devontae Adams' contract value with $140 million. That is an 86.6% increase. That's a lot more money that Devontae Adams is making more than Alvin Kamara. If we look at Joe Mixon, is that right? Joe Mixon? Yes. Yeah. $48 million. It doesn't matter because it's Aaron Jones and Joe Mixon have the same amount. But if we look at Joe Mixon, $48 million, that's number five or tied for four. And we look at Stephon Diggs, who was number five on the contract value list. So $48 million to $96 million, that's a 100% increase from the fifth to, or technically tied for the fourth, to the fifth wide receiver. That's a lot more money that these wide receivers are making. Now let's look at the quarterbacks. You know what? What if I just do it this way? This way might be easier. Maybe not. All right, hold on. Let me present. Share my screen. I just don't know which. try this one, see if that's right. Yes, it is. All right. So here we have the contract value for the quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, $450 million. Lamar Jackson, $260 million. Josh Allen, $258 million. Jalen Hurts, $255 million. Russell Wilson, $242 million. If we look back again, like I did, on their contract values, Alvin Kamara, number one, was making $75 million with this contract value. Obviously this is ridiculous because Patrick Mahomes is making $450 million with this contract value, but that is a 500% increase, which is ridiculous. That's just horrible. But if we look at a reasonable thing like Joe Mixon, who's making $48 million with his contract value, and we look at Russell Wilson's at $5 in his contract value with quarterbacks in the league, he's making $242 million. That's a 152% increase. Obviously, quarterbacks are making way more than running backs. That's easy said and done. I mean, I even wrote down that the top 5 quarterbacks on average make 414% more than the top 5 running backs in their contract value. That is absurd. That's nuts. With the wide receivers, the top 5 wide receivers making 95% more on average than the top 5 running backs in their contract values. Let's go and look at the tight ends. What I noticed is that the tight ends are a little bit more closer to the running backs, which I thought was a little interesting. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to break it down. All right. Here's the tight ends. Here are their contract values. George Kittle at $75 million. Travis Kelce, $57 million. Dallas Goedert, $57 million. Mark Andrews, $56 million. David Njoku, $54 million. If we look at, easy. Alvin Kamara and George Kittle are have the same contract value at number one at their position. That's fine. But if we look at Joe Mixon with the $48 million and we look at David Njoku with $54 million, that's a 12.5% increase. Let's look at the average. The top 5 tight ends make 4.9% more on average than the top 5 running backs in contract value. That's fine. I feel like that's just, it's very little. So that's nothing. But again, with the 414% on average with the quarterbacks and the 95% on average with the wide receivers, is crazy. It's nuts. It's really nuts. If we look at the top 5, for numbers' sake, the top 5 of those running backs on contract value made $57 million. I already told you the wide receivers. The quarterbacks on average made $293 million. That's those 5 quarterbacks we talked about, and the 5 tight ends here on average make $59.8 million. Just to keep it going. All right, let's talk about total guarantees now. This is the total guarantees for the tight ends. On average, those top 5 guys make $35 million. I'll tell you, I have it written down. The Christian McCaffrey is the number one in running back total guarantees. That's $30 million. If we compare that to George Kittle's, which is $40 million, that's a 33.3% increase on guarantees. If we compare Nick Chubb, who's number 5, he's making $17 million on total guarantees, and we compare that to the 5th tight end here, Jonnu Smith, who, let's be real, isn't the best tight end in the NFL. He's getting $31 million in guarantees. That's 82% increase than Nick Chubb in guarantees. Insane. The average, these top 5 guys in total guarantees, the average is $35 million. The average for the running backs in their top 5 is $23 million. Let's check out the quarterbacks because they're getting paid ridiculous amounts of money. to the right one. No, this is the running backs. That's fine. Okay. So this is all the running backs and their guarantees. McCaffrey getting. Oh, I must have wrote that down wrong. Oh, so McCaffrey's getting $38 million. Wait, what? How was that right? 22. Huh. I must have written this all down wrong then. Unless it updated. Huh. Oh, I looked at the wrong thing. I looked at. Okay. That makes sense. I looked at the guaranteed at signings. I was looking at the wrong thing. So if that's the case, then that's wrong. What I said was wrong. McCaffrey is not making 30 million in guarantees. He's making 38 million in guarantees, which means that comparing that to George Kittle's 40 million in guarantees, that's nothing. But what about Nick Chubb? Okay, so Nick Chubb's making 20 million. And Johnny Smith's still making 31 million. That's still a lot of money more. He's still making 11 more million than Nick Chubb in guarantees. All right. Let's look at let's just look at the other numbers for the wide receivers. We don't have to look at percentage. Why does it keep going to running backs? I don't know. All right, hold on. I'm going to turn that off real quick. Let's see what this one is. Tight ends. Wrong. Here we go. Quarterbacks. Okay, so total guarantees. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is making $230 million in guarantees. Lamar Jackson, $185 million. Jalen Hurts, $179 million. Russell Wilson, $161 million. Kyler Murray, $159 million. It's just so much more money than these running backs. Right. And we obviously, made the point that the quarterbacks make so much more money than anyone in this league. Let's see if I can find the wide receivers real quick. So, total guarantees. Okay. Cooper Kupp is making $75 million. Tyreek Hill, $72 million in guarantees. Stephon Diggs, $70 million. Devontae Adams, $65 million. Amari Cooper, $60 million. They're making like put it this way. We said, okay, so McCaffrey was $38 million. That's the number one in total guarantees. Amari Cooper is making $60 million, and he's the fifth guy. So they're making ridiculous amounts of money. Yeah, it's nuts. The average salary. Let me just stop this real quick. Okay. The average salary for a running back in the NFL is about 1.7 mil. A wide receiver is 2.2 mil. A quarterback is 4.8 mil. A tight end is 2 mil. So basically, on average, and that's the average salary for each position. On average, wide receivers make 26.2 more than running backs. Quarterbacks average make 167.6% more than running backs, and tight ends on average make 14.1% more than running backs. Okay, so we've clearly made the point that all these other positions are making more money than these running backs, right? But now let's go on the other side and play devil's advocate real quick and say, okay, if that's the case, let's say we're the team and we need to sign these guys, right? Well, so what I did was I went back and I looked at ACL injuries from running backs for the past 10 seasons. And there were 23 running backs over the past 10 years toward their ACL during the season. Keep in mind, during the season. And I'm going to name the list because there are some names that I was just like, wow, I forgot about him. Last year, we had Breece Hall, Javonte Williams, Trenton Cannon. 2021, Kylan Hill. 2020, Rex Burkhead, Saquon Barkley. 2019, Rashad Penny. 2018, J.J. Jeremy Hill. 2017, Darren Sproles, Dalvin Cook. 2016, Danny Woodhead. Haven't heard his name in forever. That was probably the last time I heard his name. Giovanni Bernard. 2015, Jamal Charles, Deion Lewis. I want to say it's Sierra Woods, Lance Dunbar. Haven't heard of him in forever. 2014, Stephen Ridley. I remember him. I had him that year on my fantasy team. Noshawn Marino and Cyrus Gray. Haven't heard his name in a long time. 2013, Larod Stevens Howling, Vic Ballard, Mike Goodson. 23 running backs in the past 10 years during the season, during the regular season, toward their ACL. That's a lot of players. It's a lot. And obviously you have players tear their ACL or get hurt before the season and during the season that aren't ACL injuries. That could be Achilles, that could be MCL, that could be shoulder, that could be foot, that could be literally anything. That could be season ending, that could be 6 weeks, that could be 8 weeks. Most of the season. It's crazy. The running backs get hurt, right? That's the point I'm making, that they obviously get hurt a lot. And unfortunately, ACL injuries are apparent in the NFL, and that's just the truth. Running backs get hurt a lot, and it's very unfortunate. I mean, a great example for what was that? That was 2 years ago in 21 when all of the Ravens running backs went down. They lost J.K. Dobbins before the season. They lost Gus Edwards before the season. They had to start Tyson Williams, I think, that year. So yeah, these guys get hurt. Like I had to cross some guys out because it was before the season. Lamar Miller did something. I think he tore his ACL before the season started in 2019. In 2018, Jerick McKinnon tore his ACL before the season started. So Isaiah Peed and Vic Ballard in 2014, or no, I wrote that one wrong. All right, so it was Isaiah Peed in 2014 who tore his ACL before the season. So all these guys are getting hurt left and right during the season, which it's horrible. Listen, I don't wish anyone to get hurt during the season. It's a terrible, terrible thing, especially ACL injuries. But there's also other injuries to look at as well, like MCL, shoulder, Achilles, stuff like that. I remember when Arian Foster, I think he had that non-contact injury. He was out for the year. I want to say that was an Achilles. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Okay, so now we've made 2 points. Point 1, running backs aren't getting paid. Point 2, running backs get hurt. Now I'm going to play devil's advocate. And what I did was I looked back on the following players' rushing attempts in their career. So I looked at Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, and Tony Pollard, the 3 guys that are currently franchise tagged in the NFL. And then I looked at Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry, the 2 players that are consistent within their contract value and their total guarantees. Okay, so if you're listening, which I hope you are, think to yourself, okay, Saquon Barkley has played 5 seasons. He also has gotten hurt. How many rushing attempts do you think he's had over those 5 seasons? He's played 60 games. Think that through. He's had 954 attempts. Solid. Over 60 games, Pretty good. Now let's look at Josh Jacobs. He's played 4 seasons, also has played 60 games. He's had 1,072 attempts. Pretty good. Very good. It's a lot of attempts. Tony Pollard played 4 seasons, 62 games, 510 attempts. Now that makes more sense because they had Ezekiel Elliott there. He wasn't the top guy, but now clearly he is the top guy. I think Pollard's situation is just a little bit different. Christian McCaffrey, 7 seasons, 75 games, 1,025 attempts, which is kind of crazy. The fact that Josh Jacobs in 4 seasons has more attempts than Christian McCaffrey is kind of wild. It's crazy. Okay, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is just, I mean, when you hear this number, it's just like, yeah, of course. 7 seasons, 102 games played. My man, Derrick Henry, has had 1,750 rushing attempps in his career. That is insane. It's just like, okay. And he's gotten hurt, so he could have had more, which is just insane. Now, after that, I looked at rushing touchdowns. And I put receiving touchdowns too because they do catch the ball in the end zone. Think about how many rushing touchdowns you think Saquon Barkley has in his career. He has 29. He also had 8 receiving touchdowns in his career. Now think about Josh Jacobs. How many rushing touchdowns? He has had 40. Now I want you to ask yourself this: how many receiving touchdowns do you think Josh Jacobs has had in his career? He has played 4 seasons, 60 games. Josh Jacobs has played. Just think about it. Think it through. 0. He's had 0 receiving touchdowns, which is mind-boggling to me. I think that's crazy. 60 games, did not catch the ball in the end zone yet. Wild. Tony Pollard, 17 rushing touchdowns, 5 receiving. Christian McCaffrey, 38 rushing touchdowns, 22 receiving, which is wild. And then you look at Derrick Henry, 78 rushing touchdowns and 3 receiving. That's crazy. That's nuts. 78. Jeez. So, yeah, obviously you can go back and forth with this. Yes, running backs are getting underpaid. Yes, 1,000%. Do running backs get hurt? 1,000%. Yes. Do running backs do all the work? They do a lot. I mean, 1,750 attempts from Derrick Henry in 102 games and 78 rushing touchdowns is kind of crazy. So keep that in mind. Yeah, so that's all my research on the running back market. I thought it was pretty interesting to look at. I think it's clear that they are getting underpaid. I think they will probably still get underpaid because at the same time, it's just that the thinking in the NFL is that I can go and get someone better. I can go draft someone better because if you keep getting hurt, you're losing your value in the league, unfortunately. At the same time, we all know that Saquon Barkley is one of the best in the league. However, he has gotten hurt. That's a big part of it. And you can't be looking for all of the money when you've gotten hurt. Unfortunately, that's just the way I look at it. So I don't think much will change. I'm sure they will get, they'll get the bag when the time's right. Unless he just leaves the Giants and goes somewhere else and gets a lot more bigger check. But I guess we'll see how it all unfolds over the next year because I'm sure we'll be having some holding in situations. I mean, look, we just had the J.K. Dobbins thing, which I think is kind of wild. He's gotten hurt. So we'll see how it all unfolds. All right. I wanted to talk a little bit about the fantasy football running backs. I wrote a couple down that I'm just a fan this year on drafting. Um, some are obvious, some are a little sneaky. So let's get right through it. Obviously, this is in no order. I just take it as it is. Derrick Henry. I mean, we just looked at his stats: 78 rushing touchdowns in his entire career over 102 games. Ridiculous. Derrick Henry is just one of the best. You can't go wrong with him. I think he might be the number one running back in fantasy football this year. Yeah, draft Derrick Henry. Nick Chubb. I've always been a fan of Nick Chubb. He went to Georgia. That's my team. That's my college football team. I think that Kareem Hunt is going to go somewhere else because he's a free agent, and if that happens, I think Nick Chubb is going to be a beast. I mean, I don't know. Nick Chubb will be a force to be reckoned with if he's the only if he's the only guy there. I think Nick Chubb could be he could be his ceiling is so high. He could be the number one. He could be a top 5 guy, which is what I've wanted him to do. But since Kareem Hunt has been there, he has been the carries have been split in half. J.K. Dobbins. I love J.K. Dobbins. He's had a whole year after his injury, so I think he'll be able to run a lot better and be healthy and all that. And they have the new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken from the Georgia Bulldogs. So I guess we'll see with Dobbins, but I like J.K. Dobbins this year. DeAndre Swift, he's now on my Philadelphia Eagles. I think since I understand his injury situations, and he's on a 1-year contract, I'm pretty sure. So with him, I think since he will have debatably the best offensive line in the league, I think it will do a lot better. I understand that this, I wouldn't call it a committee. I mean, I guess it is kind of a committee. You have Swift, you now have Rashad Penny, you have Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott. I still think Swift will get most of the carries, majority of the carries, because I think he's just that talented. But when you have such a great offensive line, I think you're in great shape. So, all right, who's next? Rachaad White. People are really hype on Rachaad White this year. He kind of went unscathed after the draft. People were thinking that the Bucs might draft a running back, maybe even Bijan Robinson, and obviously that didn't happen. At the same time, there are still 3 major running backs out there for free agency, like Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott. I wouldn't be shocked if the Bucs go and try to get one of these guys for cheap later on in this offseason, so keep an eye on that. But Rachaad White, as of right now, looking to be the guy in Tampa. Tony Pollard, I mean, we just looked at his stuff. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. Unless, I mean, listen, there are rumors that they might just re-sign Ezekiel Elliott back, which would not surprise me at all. But at the same time, I think this is, this year right now, even if they do get Zeke back, I just think that Pollard will still have most of the carries. If they don't get another running back, I know they have Ronald Jones and they have Malik Davis. So I still think Pollard has the most carries, but I think he will exceed expectations because he did that last year. I think he did a great job last year. So keep an eye on the Dallas running back situation. James Cook. Don't sleep on James Cook. I know a lot of people are really hype on Damian Harris now on the Bills, but I think that James Cook is going to have a breakout season this year. I'm really high on James Cook. I feel like at this point you're either in or out on James Cook, which is fine, but I think that this could be a James Cook breakout year. Write that down. Dameon Pierce. I know that I'm pretty sure Pierce got hurt last year. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure towards the end or something. I think Pierce. Hey, I mean, they just got C.J. Stroud. I think they'll be able to run the ball a good amount. I like Dameon Pierce, so I wouldn't be too shy on him. to draft. But yeah, I like Damian Pierce. I think he shocked a lot. Excuse me. I think he shocked a lot last year, and I think he has enough to be a good, viable fantasy running back. Ramondre Stevenson on the Patriots. Yeah, I think they just released James Robinson, so as of right now, like, yeah, Stevenson might be just like a beast. I like ever since he's kind of shown up, he's just shown time and time again that he is just a bowling ball running back. Like he just bounces off guys, and if that or runs over him, I guess that makes more sense than bouncing off. But yeah, he's a beast. I think with him, he should be pretty good. So draft from Roger Stevenson as of right now, unless they go and get another guy. I mean, then I'd be out. But John Robinson, people are going crazy over John Robinson. People are saying like he's like a top 2, top 3 pick, which is like I think a little bit kind of wild for me. We haven't seen him play a snap yet. I understand the hype. They're gonna run, the Falcons are gonna run the ball a lot, but I mean, I can understand getting him late in the first round, maybe getting him in the second round. I'd do that, but I just don't know if he's worth like a top 3 pick because I just don't know what's there yet. You know, I need to see him play first for me. And listen, I'm not trying to be. I have a John Robinson in my dynasty league, so I'm excited to see him play. I really am, but I don't know about redraft yet because I we just don't know. Listen, I'm sure he's gonna be great, but I just don't know what he's gonna be like. So I guess we'll see. I'm excited to see him play. I think he'll do just fine. Don't know if he's worth that top 3 pick, top 5 pick. I think this one's just a little bit under the radar, but Tank Bigsby, the Jacksonville Jags running back, he is just, I like him a lot. I think that he's going to split the carries with Travis Etienne. Um, and I think he's going to shock some people, Tank Bigsby. So I'm really excited to see him play. So those are some running backs I thought would be worth talking about for fantasy football this year. So yeah, keep an eye on those guys. Now I want to talk about. Here we go. Okay, so right now we're doing the top 10 musical artists that would play fantasy football. Number 10, I have Snoop Dogg. That man, I could totally see Snoop Dogg playing fantasy football. That guy, I think he's coached before, and he's always at football games. I mean, he even did the Super Bowl halftime show 2 years ago at the Rams Bengals Super Bowl, which I thought was pretty cool. I think he's like a giant Steelers fan, so I think he would be a great guy to play fantasy football with, man. I think he'd enjoy it. Number 9, Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters. I think he'd enjoy it as well. I think he's just like a cool guy. I could totally see him getting into fantasy football I could also see him getting like frustrated with it for some reason. I don't know. It's probably because he screams so much in his songs. Number 8, Lizzo. I don't know why. I think a part of me is because she has that Minnesota Vikings lyric in that one song of hers that I don't remember what it's called. But I just think that maybe she watches football. I don't know. I just have a feeling that she would be fun. She would be very fun in the league. Number 7, Gwen Stefani. Don't know why I put this one. I just feel like she would be like kind of into it. Kind of I don't know. Very interesting. She's very interesting. That's why I feel like I put her in there. She's a quirky person, and I think she would get into it. Number 6, Pink. I think Pink. I don't know why I get this vibe that Pink is very competitive, and I can totally see her getting into fantasy football and like rooting for her team, rooting for her guys to score some points, and that's why I love fantasy football for Pink. Number 5, Lil Wayne. Yeah, Lil Wayne, giant Packers fan. I could totally see him being that. I could totally see him playing fantasy football, like for real. I don't know if he does, but if not, I could totally see him playing. I can totally see him spending lots of money and trying to win and drafting a lot of Packers players. So yeah, Lil Wayne at number 4. Number 5. Number 4, Bruce Springsteen. I'm sure Bruce Springsteen would love to play fantasy football. If he doesn't play, he's lying. I feel like he plays. I feel like he enjoys it. I feel like he sits down and he can watch some football and root for his guys on Sundays. Number 3, Jay-Z. Jay-Z's always at football games. So I would not be surprised if he plays fantasy football. I think that would be fun just to see what he's like during that. Number 2, Jack Black. I mean, come on. Jack Black. I would love to. Oh man, I would love to see Jack Black just watch football, because I feel like he would get really excited, and for him to be in the fantasy football league and having negotiations with Jack Black, I would love that. So I'm all for it. Number 1, Meatloaf, because apparently he does play fantasy football, and yeah, I guess I read that he's been playing for some time now. So I'd like to have a guy with some experience in my league. All right, so that's going to be it for today. We're going to do the quote of the day. Today's quote of the day is, "A person will sometimes devote all his life to the development of one part of his body, the wishbone." That's from Robert Frost. That's going to do it for today's episode. Please like, subscribe, comment, and follow at Bryk Breakdown, at BRYK Breakdown on all platforms: Twitter, Instagram. Check me out on Facebook. There's a TikTok. I think that's everything. Yeah, thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.